G'day guys, Trent here, how are you? So flight reviews, getting quite complicated and confusing at the moment. Not so much the process of doing the flight review, but the recording of it. Now, CASA has just recently put out an email to people, part of their MyCASA portal system that's all being updated and structured. And in that process is they're giving people notifications when things are going to expire, to give you a bit of notice and allow it not to expire, obviously, which is a fantastic initiative and one I really applaud. However, the problem with MyCASA always has been that the data in it is not always up to date and accurate. And this has certainly been the case with what's happened in the last few days. So CASA are looking at sending out flight review notifications, and as we know, flight reviews are valid every 2 years. However, the problem has been that the notification process from a flight examiner or flight instructor can vary, and this has an impact on the date that's recorded within the MyCASA system. Now, if you do a flight test, an RPL, PPL, CPL, that all is part of your class rating training endorsement. So you're either single or multi-engine class rating, and that will set a 2-year expiry date for you. That all works, that'll go in the system, not a problem at all. However, at some point you might do something else, like an instrument rating or an instructor rating. Now, when you do a flight review, there are certain criteria that must be completed, and these codes are all found in the manual standards, and we can look up the codes FR-CAC or FR-MEAC, and in there it will tell you all the things you need to do, which is your different types of takeoffs and landings, your forced landings, engine failures after takeoff, steep turns, glides, low level instrument recovery, all that sort of stuff, unusual attitudes. So that has to be done, and as long as you do all that, you meet the requirements for the flight review. You do it to a competent standard, you pass, and you get your 2-year extension. Now, as per CASA 61800, if you have a look in there, it will say the criteria of what meets a flight review, other than a flight review. All right, and that is a new flight test, or a rating, operational rating, or a proficiency check for an operational rating. And this is where the trouble comes in. Let's take an instrument rating proficiency check, for example. If I were to do that proficiency check for you, I'm going to be doing IFR flying. We're going to be doing instrument approaches, some single or multi-engine handling sort of stuff, but we're not typically going to be doing steep turns, stalls, forced landings, all that sort of stuff. Therefore, we don't complete that CAC and MEAC MOS element guidelines and cover off all the things that need to be done. Therefore, I can't say that you have completed a flight review. This is why when we issue you a IPC or similar, we don't write FR-MEA or SEA in your license anymore, because we haven't actually done everything as required. However, 61800 says that that proficiency check meets the requirements for a flight review. Now, historically, we had a little checkbox on the test form where we could say that yes, this meets the requirements, but then that wasn't quite being done properly for the reasons I've just described. So CASA's removed that off the form, and then they were applying the 2 years to your class rating in the MyCASA portal. However, this is now seems to have stopped. And what this has led to now is the technicality of you having a valid flight review. However, because it's not actually written in your license and it's not written anywhere in the CASA system, it's invisible. It's an invisible date. And so we're being expected to potentially operate. Let's just say after 12 months I decide not to renew my instrument rating for whatever reason. I still have, theoretically, 12 months left on my class rating flight review validity, but where do I find that? It's not written anywhere. It's not in any documentation. And this is leaving people very, very confused. So this video is really just to let you know that that's what's going on. This is the problem. You are still valid up to that point. It's just a little bit tricky to try and figure out when and where your actual expiry date is. So the way to do that is to go back to the last flight test or proficiency check that you did. And you can go to the end of the month of that month you did it in 24 months later. Okay. If you have any doubts at all, of course you can call Clark and question it. The problem is, Clark is the CASA Licensing and Registration Centre. They are advising to get your examiner to put in a flight review form, which, for all the reasons I've just gone through, we can't legally do. So I have written to the Chief Executive Officer of CASA to raise this problem. I've written to AOPA as well to let Benjamin Morgan know about it, and we'll get back to you on hopefully a more common sense solution where everything is actually documented, written down in the license, and we don't have to use our imagination anymore. Everything is all there. Okay? All right, guys, I hope you found this information helpful. As always, with anything, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't checked out the podcast, flighttrainingaustralia.com.au, it's available on every major podcast player. New podcasts come out every Monday, and I'd love to have you subscribe and join me then as well. All right, until then, blue skies, and remember the golden rule: aviate, navigate, communicate. Cheers, everyone.